Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies.
Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signal via the magic of El Internet. Folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. You know what? Before we get started, however, let's go ahead and go to the studio where we have, of course, Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bever. Good morning, guys. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, my friend. Talk to me.
Well, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties getting the Zoom links up, but another day at the radio. Here's going to be my word for the day. Our super rich have become spoiled rotten. They have become so rich under neoliberal economic policies that now they think they don't need to take care of the people or pay their fair share of taxes. This is capitalism devouring all, including itself. To take a tax cut and know that it hurts, even kills people, takes a special kind of selfishness. We must find a way to retask our oligarchs.
And it starts with us. It starts with us realizing that we are, in fact, empowered to do these things. But again, what can I say? We have a little bit of a feedback that we probably should work on as the show goes on, folks. But you know what we say, we never, ever stop. But today it's Thursday. Aquino is back with us again. El Señor Neil Aquino, founder of the Houston Democracy Project with us. So I want to welcome Neil. Neil, how you doing this morning, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I was out visiting my in-laws last week. I visited Joliet, Illinois, where some of the Blue Brothers, made famous by the Blue Brothers movie, just outside of Chicago. And let me tell you that it is Latino immigrants sustaining Joliet, Illinois. There were Mexican flags and flags of all sorts of countries. Latin American countries all over Joliet, where the famous prison is, and immigrants are everywhere and needed and sustained, even in the heartland of the nation.
Well, that is great. That is actually great. I want to go ahead and welcome Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, is in the house with us. Melanie, yeah, we're having a little bit of audio issues. That's why it sounds kind of tinny. And we are also getting some sort of a feedback. Probably work with the studio and try to see what's going on there as we go along. Anyway, welcome, Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Let's see what else have we got here. XS is in the house from Substack, as well as Kat, Richard Smith. And of course, I missed the first few that came in because of how the system worked. But let me ask the studio if we have Elise with us yet. And if we do, we'll go ahead and start with Elise before we get busy with the program.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. Are you doing okay today?
Good morning, Elise. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. There's so much news to get to. And
Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia is in the house with us as well. So let's see. And coming in, we have Claudette Newhall, Todd Golden, Ellen Me. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you so kindly for being here. Anyway, Neil, I know you have a lot to talk about, but there is something that that you told me that occurred at the LGBT caucus sometime this week that you attended that I really want you to articulate, because I think whenever we have politicians that not only say the right thing, but we see with the work that they're doing, they're actually in support of the people, in support of our Constitution, and ensuring that, in effect, the people did the right thing as they elected them. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. This was at last night's Houston LGBTQ Political Caucus meeting, which takes place once a month. And they have a different guest and each month. And the guest this month was District Attorney Sean Tier. And so Sean Tier spoke about a variety of issues and ways that he's cleaned up the office since Kim Ogg left and a lot of improvements. But there are just some very short quotes that really struck me. He said that at the moment, there was a climate of hate, that the current political moment was reminiscent of the early 30s. He said they're literally banning books. And he said, I'm not going to participate in whatever Reichstag fire they create. And I was really appreciative of hearing an elected official, very important elected official like the district attorney of our giant county, just directly acknowledging the political and societal situation that we are in. Not just opposition, but a clear reference to the prospect of authoritarianism. And he also said, I'm going to follow the law. Said there wasn't a blank check. It wasn't a blank check to do something illegal. I'm going to follow the law. But the specific comment that I'm not going to participate in whatever Reichstag fire they create it was very heartening for me to hear that from a senior elected official in Harris County.
I think that is so important. As I mentioned to you off air, it is very disappointing to see our leaders both in Washington and I'll call names. I'm very disappointed in Hakeem Jeffries. I'm very disappointed in Chuck Schumer. I'm very disappointed in the mayor of Houston. I'm very disappointed in their stance on this issue, in their inability to come out there and challenge the attack on the citizens of the United States with a fascist president that we currently have. And for a district attorney to come out there and simply say, I am not going to be a part. I am the law. I execute the law, or not execute, but I challenge the law here in Texas, and I will not be a part of that team. I think we need to make sure to give kudos, and for the listeners that are out there, you should give the department a call and say, good job. That's what we want out there. That is who we want doing that kind of representation. This is not a political statement that the guy made. That was a statement, a constitutional statement that the guy made. And if we had more politicians issuing constitutional statements in a climate where we have a thug running the executive, it would be much better for society at large. Thank you for pointing that out, Neil. Like we say, Neil from the Houston Democracy Project is out there around town, around the county, watching what all our politicians are doing. Thank you for that, Neil. Anyway, Neil, what else do you have? Marge KJ, welcome aboard, as well as Randall Baxley. Randall says the system is zero sum, and those of us able to gather more than our needs will hopefully become aware of many things we do that end up killing us. Very good point, Randall Baxley. All right, Neil, talk to me.
Well, I wanted to note also, yesterday was the 36th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. And I know that was an important event for me. I guess I was 21 when it happened. I think I was actually watching Dallas. It was a Friday night, and I was hanging out with some friends. I think there was some beer around. And I was watching Dallas. The news came out. There was extensive coverage back. We're all old enough to remember when a special report was a big deal. So it's the 36th anniversary. When I was at the Statue of Liberty this past April, they have a picture, actually, the display area of the folks at Tiananmen Square with a representation, with a mock-up of the Statue of Liberty. Imagine doing that now. Under Trump. And I've been, it sure makes you sad where we're at. There's two questions that I've been asking about civil rights that are local. And you remember that Trump wanted to use the military during the George Floyd protest. It can happen here. It can happen here. It can happen here. I've been asking, with HPD cooperating with ICE, and HPD is cooperating with ICE. Egberto and I were talking about TikTok a little bit earlier. You can see the videos in Minneapolis and San Diego where the people were not happy about ICE being present. What is the process to make sure that HPD, that Houstonians interacting with ICE and HPD will receive due process and not be sent or disappeared to places like the El Salvador torture prison? I mean, that's happening. And there's no guarantee of due process. So whether you're undocumented, legally here, or a citizen, what are the protections? And then also, if and when the Trump administration moves forward with threats to civil liberties like the suspension of habeas corpus, will HPD resources be used to assist Trump? And let me tell you, when I say HPD resources, they got all the resources, okay? They just got a giant new contract, 30-something% raise over 3 years. 60% of our city budget, which is something we talk about today, goes to police and fire. 60% of the police budget goes to police and fire. And there are no protections that HPD won't cooperate, enforce, make work, use all our money up, use overtime to suspend our rights. So I think it's important that we be asking these questions and that we press our city council on the matter.
That is so important. That is so important, my friend. What other subject do we have to cover today?
So yesterday, now you may have seen this, we passed our city budget, $7 billion budget. Like I said, 60% to police and fire. The only other increase really is to the solid waste department, which just got a minor increase. So the neighborhood department, parks, libraries, all of these things cut. The budget is not well balanced or funded for the future. We dug into our city rainy day fund. The mayor, there were no fee or tax increases. There actually should be fee or tax increases. We've actually covered that here before on the Houston Democracy Project Hour, where some council members are calling for it. And you may see that there was a protest yesterday at the budget, a group called the Northeast Action Collective. A coalition of neighborhoods in Houston was there. They chanted, they had a banner. And what was frustrating is that they cleared the entire council chamber. So there were some folks protesting, but they cleared everyone, whether they were protesting or not. So who's in charge of the chamber? Is it the mayor and council, or is it HPD? But there are stories out there. If you want to read more specifics about the budget, it's a little bit off my mission on specifically democracy issues. But the budget is depressing. And there's a story in the Chronicle about pension reform, quote unquote pension reform. And it's related to this because the legislature, it's on Governor Abbott's desk, the police and fire pensions, they want to make it again where you can retire after 20 years. So you can be in your mid-40s and get a pension. And they want to make it where you can retire, but somehow still stay on the payroll and grow your pension for police and fire, increasing the pension liabilities. If you remember, it was a big deal when Mayor Turner, the upshot of what I'm telling you is the police and fire unions don't care if we're bankrupt. This is the upshot. They know we're broke, okay? They know that the FEMA money isn't coming. They know that all this money isn't coming. And they are after every dollar. That's where I'm going a little bit with this. They are after every dollar. And those police and fire unions, while everyone else takes a hit. And with the next storm or flood, there's no guarantee of any federal assistance. But they're after every dollar.
I want to get in there because, I mean, I don't know if you saw I think you did see the interview that I did with our Honorable Judge Lina Hidalgo. Yeah. And Lina Hidalgo pointed out that, she wants to have parity with the sheriff department and the Houston police department. But all this stuff needs to be paid for. And as a responsible person, she was very disappointed in Garcia and Briones, who voted along. She said it almost seems like there is a mini Trump faction made up of two Democrats and a Republican on Commissioner's Court because they're behaving as irresponsible as is the President of the United States. She said, we want to pay them, but let the people decide. I can't go ahead and have give $140 million raise and cut libraries and cut everything else to pay these guys, which they are important, but the library is important. Keeping the streets open is important. Healthcare is important. All these things are important. So instead of just saying, let's give all this money to the cops and the firemen, well, in her case, just the cops, we have to go in front of the people in the county and say, hey, look, this is where we are at. This is what the budget looks like. if we want to pay these guys, maybe we need to bring more revenue in. And if you, the people, don't want more revenue and you definitely want us to pay these salaries, then we're going to have to cut elsewhere. Where do you want us to cut?
Well, let me tell you. Let's place some of the blame with the Harris County, with the AFL-CIO, the Harris County local AFL-CIO. They deserve some blame here. They elected Whitmire. They helped elect Whitmire. Sylvia Garcia, Carol Alvarado. They helped elect Whitmire. The firefighters wanted this money. You know, they were in this kind of Moby Dick, Ahab kind of feud. The firefighters and Mayor Turner. They when the negotiations took place for the firefighters contract, there was clear discussion. This was last year. Hey, this means we've got the money for the police contract, right? And so the firefighters are AFL-CIO. The police, they're hardly even they call themselves a union. They're not. They would bust your union in a second.
They're Gestapo. Go ahead. Yeah.
Their union, and they knew what they were doing. The first the firefighters get it, then the police get it. And then the minute that HPD got their raise, the head of the police union, the Houston Police Officers Union, was with the Sheriff Deputies Union asking for their raise. Everything's being cut. The Trump bill, the city finances, which they know all of this austerity, except for the public safety forces, who are taking every dollar they can get as everything else is cut.
And Neil, I want you to reiterate 60%. You went to the budget meeting. 60% of all the $7 billion expenditure of Houston, Texas. And for those that are in our national audience, this is something that you will see replicated throughout the country. This is something you'll see replicated throughout the country. We're becoming a, what kind of state do you call that, Neil? A security state.
I mean, a security state, a surveillance state, a police state. And, in Texas, by law, because the police unions went and circumvented their municipal governments, by law, you can't reduce police budgets. You can't read. So we are stuck as taxpayers until some distant day when they undo that. There's a prospect someday it'll be undone. But we are stuck paying. We cannot reduce that police budget. So we are stuck with that money. And while we are cutting, they are cutting parks, libraries, every department except a small increase for solid waste. And it's a small increase. It's taking a hit. And we are all the needs in this city, and this doesn't even mention they greatly underestimate the amount of overtime that city employees will be making. They greatly underestimate the amount of overtime. Chris Hollins has said this. Just so you get a storm, you get a civil disturbance, all very possible things. And I'll tell you, the police and fire, they're getting paid. But if you want your park, the lawn mowed, they've lessened the cycle by which they come and mow the grass at your park.
Infrastructure damage, water delivery damage, all these things are not taken into account. But the police and firemen, 60% of the budget for that.
Okay. It's depressing. I lived here for 27 years, and
I need to raise.
Boy,
let's see. Richard Smith says, "Could all this be a moment for reflection that may well result in the people regaining our authority, as FDR had recognized decades ago?" Richard Smith, I love that statement because I think that is where we can be if we choose to be. That is very, very important. Randall Baxley says, how many times must we repeat 60%? As many times as necessary to let people in Houston understand that their taxes are going straight into a police state. That's how much. If your budget is going mostly to cops, firemen, we need to have well-paid firemen. They put their bodies at big risk. But there are a lot of other things that are of importance. Maybe we need to cut quite a few police officers and put more psychologists in there, because a lot of things that these guys go and try to solve really require a psychologist and not a cop with a gun. But anyway, that is for another discussion. Let's see. I think I have some more people to salute. Welcome aboard, Harry Denson from Missouri City. Thank you for being here, my brother, and thank you for writing in the chat, keeping the chat active as well. Good job. Anyway, before I go to the phones, Lee, I want to point out something, and I've been following this story out of the country, but I haven't seen it in the country. In New York, a Chilean, or exposed quite a bit in the country, a Chilean woman, ICE just kind of went and picked up off the streets and locked her up for, I don't remember. I'm looking at the story and I'm reading the story. It was covered at CNN Espanol, CNN Chile. She's a Chilean. So the story with all the videos are in CNN Chile. And I'm reading it in Spanish and it's just blowing my mind. And this is one of the reasons you speak about how evil ICE is and etc. And I'm looking at this story, and this woman is here legally, and she's just roughed up by ICE and thrown to the curb, etc., being arrested. I've heard from several sources that all those northern states that were very dependent on business from Canadians coming into the United States, all those places are now empty. Many of the European countries that normally support Florida and other places in the United States visiting, they are not going to the United States anymore. So Trump is not only a clear and present danger to American security, but he's also a clear and present danger to the economies of people dependent on tourism. Before I go to the phones, what's your thoughts on that, Neil?
Right. So this was this the one, a 12-year-old daughter?
Yes, she has a 12-year-old daughter. Yes.
Had a 12-year-old daughter, and they took her, and this was in Times Square. Right. I mean, so. Yes. And they left the daughter alone.
Sheer evil.
This is just what I was getting at with HPD's cooperation with ICE. There are no checks. There are no checks on this at all. And it's expanding. It's expanding for citizens, non-citizens, documented, undocumented. And before we go to the phones, I just want to make my own pitch for the show. What you see here is really what you're getting with Egberto and Politics Done Right. Egberto and I always we have a little pre-show talk, and we talk about what's going to be on. If I have a fact or something that Egberto wants me to confirm, he'll ask me for the source. He'll make sure that I have it right. There's always talk about, the show could go wherever the callers take it. Always a deference to the people who do it. You see how independent media and all sorts of independent cultural institutions are being pressed, attacked, threatened by the current administration. This is a really important source for a forum for custodians and people also from elsewhere. And we're happy. Egberto does so much programming about all sorts of issues. So whether you're local or nearby or somewhere more distant, this is a relevant program. KPFT has been on, 50 years?
55 years, yeah.
55 years. It's a tremendous resource at Egberto. So I asked, again, no one but the station and the one employee who does great work keeping the station on the air sees any of this money. It all goes to the station. So I encourage you. And Egberto is the real deal, factual, accurate, kind, and he brought me on Thursdays so that we could talk specifically about local politics, and there's not nearly enough local discussion here.
Thank you so kindly for that, Neil. Thank you so kindly for that. And folks, please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. We still haven't gotten, we're over at half the show right now, and we still haven't gotten a call, a contribution. I ask you so kindly to do so. Help us stay on air. This is real important information that we talk about. Let's go ahead and go to Bard. Come on in, Bard.
Yes, good morning, sir. I was wondering why you keep covering for, quote, the Honorable Lena Hidalgo. Did Rodney Ellis offer you a position with them or something as a spokesman, or what? Why do you keep covering them?
I really cover them because I'm very proud of this young woman who above and beyond being lied about, above and beyond bringing progressive values to a position that many a times was just a good old boy network, a woman that is young, the age of my daughter, and is really doing well for the city, bringing the compassion that's needed, along with the intellect that is needed, along with the budgetary wise that is needed. I'm proud of the young woman.
Well, why can't the sheriffs get a raise if the lady that leads Harris County Flood Control got a $90,000 raise this year? Just this year. All right. $90,000. She's now making $420,000. I know you're going to hang up on me, but go ahead.
No, I'm not going to, because that particular one that you're talking about is correct. All executives in any department, including under our current mayor, under the President of the United States. I mean, I am for paying people what they're worth. The
president doesn't even make that much. The president of the United States does not make $420,000. He makes $250,000.
Hey, Bart, the way we speak on this show is you speak, the audience listens, I speak, you be quiet and listen. And that's how we have a conversation that everybody can understand. I know exactly whenever I listen to Bard, I know what to expect. Now, here's the deal. You may not like our judge or commissioner. That's your choice. I speak factually of what she represents. You can choose not to accept that. But again, anything else you want to talk about other than the judge right now?
I'd like you to talk about the honorable $11 million that she gave to Elevate Strategies. If you want to look up that company, I know you're covering.
I am very aware of that. I am aware of that as well. I'm very aware of that.
Our tax dollars, Egberto, our tax dollars, mine and yours.
Yes.
Why is that okay for you to waste that?
I don't have a problem. Put it this way. I don't have it. Like I said, Commissioner's Court has always been for a very long time a good old boy network that when they are awarding contracts, that they give a little company, finally, I'm all for it. But anyway, I got to go to Johnny.
It's not a company. It was an operative for Hillary Clinton.
I thank you, Bart. You have go ahead, Neil.
Let me add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bart started off asking if Rodney Ellis, we had a job with Rodney Ellis. Rodney Ellis, in fact, this show, we've criticized Rodney Ellis. That's one reason folks should contribute. We've criticized Rodney Ellis for having $6.4 million in campaign funds and not using it to increase turnout in Harris County. And we take on everyone here. And Commissioner Ellis, with your $6.4 million, you could fund politics done right. We'll take the donation if you're listening. But the idea that we're on someone's payroll is far from the case.
Thank you for that, Neil. It's funny, right? Because we are equal opportunity.
Right.
Whether there's Democrats or go ahead.
But now they switched to Rodney. Before rest his soul, Mayor Turner, we were frequently critical of Mayor Turner, and you'd get called out. Oh, why are you doing Mayor Turner's work? And I doubt that's how Mayor Turner or Commissioner Ellis see it.
It is funny. They don't understand that even people from some of these people's office would call and try to get us to soften, which we don't. Johnny, come on in. In a minute, Johnny will be in with us, but let's go ahead and get, as soon as they can, bring Johnny into the conversation. Come on in, brother Johnny. Come on in.
You got it. Soundboard sound. You guys are hot. So am I. I'm hot under the collar. Both Mr. Breitbart and his friend Brain, they both suffer from convenient amnesia. They like to point out what they believe to be factual facts, but in fact, the presidential salary used to be, $200,000 or $210,000 a year. It was doubled not too long ago. And in fact, regardless of whether the president's salary is set at $400-something thousand a year, that doesn't apply to Donald. Donald, a Republican, he made off with more than $1.6 billion as in boy dollars after his first 4 years in the White House. And when you do the math, Mr. Breitbart, you realize that $1.6 billion is equal to 1,000 times the amount of presidential salary. How's that That's interesting. Your boy promised the American people on the campaign trail that he was wealthy and he did not require a presidential salary, that he would work for free. Work. That's funny. He would work and he would do it for free. But he made off with 1.6. Where did that money come from? How did he do it? It's called squirreling away state secrets in boxes and pretending you don't have it. And if you have a membership to Mar-a-Lago swim club, you can go there with your cell phone camera and photograph your heart's content. You got your panties in a nut about the wrong thing. You bark up the wrong tree. You and Brian, you guys bark up the wrong tree. But that's not why I called. Every time I hear about police and fire wanting a raise, it's not just in Houston. You guys are right. This is a problem across the country. You know what comes to my mind every time I hear that? While teachers suffer, I think about those cops who stood up and turned their back on the newly elected New York City mayor. I think about that. I think about their union representatives and other cops representatives across the country who are so childish and demanding and surly. You guys need to understand something. You guys are supposed to be servants, public servants. Granted, you put your lives on the line theoretically, but not lately. I think about the guy who stood his knee on the neck of a black man on the street, killing someone like a dog near the tire of his squad car. I think about a guy whose money was being lifted out of his pockets while he was being beat up next to a cyclone fence by another cop in, was it Chicago or some city up north? I think about all these offenses, and you guys keep voting for the people on the right who make austerity something that's a reality. You can't have it both ways. You can't vote right-wing and then cry and complain and fill your diapers with poo when there's no money available for anything.
Johnny.
Go pound sand.
Thank you,
That's
Johnny.
what I gotta say.
Brother Johnny, we're in Fun Drive, Johnny, so I have to cut you a bit, but thank you so kindly for your words. I want to point out very importantly that I am for paying people what they're worth. I want well-paid police officers. I want well-paid firemen, but I also want well-paid garbage collectors and well-paid everybody else as well. Okay,
what you wish.
Go ahead.
Their union. They should be well paid. And what you wish, though, is that their unions would act in solidarity with others. So that Politico reported last year that the Houston Firefighters Union had a hand in the International Firefighters Union offering no endorsement. They were about to endorse Harris. That the Houston firefighters, you wish that they would be partners in helping the city get more revenue with their legislative allies in Austin. And you wish they would act in greater solidarity with labor, other labor and workers, and they don't.
I am with you, my brother. You're right. Adam W. says it's got to be difficult having Abbott as governor. Pennsylvania is really about to feel the pain since it's turned more red than purple, once being a blue state, but your governor is a sociopath. Yes, he is. But, at least in Pennsylvania, you still have a governor that cares, that your Democratic governor is doing a good job. I'm going to go to Michelle, and then I have to go do a little pitching and then a return. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, come on in. Or Michael, I don't know which one it is.
Hello.
Yes, you're on, Michael.
Thank you. I'm a first-time caller. I also go by G-Beard. I've been a long-time listener of your show, and I do contribute. And I've contributed twice in the past 2 months. I might even contribute a third time. And I have a challenge to all the people who work from home. All the people who work from home that are saving that precious gas money they can chip into the station. But I want to go over some salaries. Somebody was talking salaries. Katy ISD has a football coach, Gary Joseph. He makes over $140,000 a year. Baseline. We got other high school football coaches in Dickerson High School, $154,000 base salary from 2023. A Barber's High School, and this is all in the Houston area, $179,917.67 payroll. That's the name of few. You got Thompson High School, you got Katy High School, you got Atascocita High School, over $150,000. Give me a break, people. Give me a break. And I don't have any children, and I have to pay for these salaries. So, but I'm going to get off my soapbox and challenge all those people who work from home who listen to this beautiful station. We have a beautiful station here. They need to contribute. They need to step up to the plate. Thank you, Alberto, for all you do. I'm sometimes a hard dude, please, but hey, I got to stick it to you sometimes.
No, Michael, let me tell you, first of all, not a problem. I love when you do it. I love people to challenge. That's why this is an open forum. Thank you so kindly for being a supporter at KPFT. And if you're saying you're doing it third time, remember, I'm at 0 right now. I'm looking for my first. Let me go ahead and go to Augie. Come on in, Augie. I have to restrict the calls to about a minute because we have a lot of calls and we still have some pitching to do. So, Augie, come on in, line number 1.
Thanks, Egberto. I wonder if Barton didn't hear about the airplane, multi-million-dollar airplane that Trump asked Qatar for. It wasn't a gift. He asked them for it, and they gave it to him. And it's going to cost us millions of dollars to fix that plane. But he said he's not going to use it. It's more than his $200,000 salary, and plus all the other stuff he's doing, like the cryptocurrency. Lena Hidalgo's not asking for a plane or cryptocurrency or any other fundraising things on top of her salary. And I was going on the feeder road on I-10 between Bunker Hill and Blaylock, and there's an HPD car where there's red and blue lights going on, but no siren. But right behind them, there was about 6 other civilian cars and no markings on them. And all of a sudden, the cop made a quick right turn, and there were some businesses in the back, and then they made a quick U-turn in the driveway. Those 6 cars or more, all of a sudden, turned on their taillights, and there's red and blue lights. They had no siren either. So they made that turn right behind that HPD car. And I don't know what kind of businesses they were raiding, but that was the ICE raid. And I was on my way to go to the store, and I saw all this happen. I couldn't believe it was happening in front of my eyes. And that's what we're getting around here. Raids going on and people being hauled off and nobody hearing about it. I don't remember hearing anything about it on TV about that one raid. And also, I was trying to donate, hit option 1, but there's a recording comes on saying no one's available. But I just thought I'd let you know about what's going on. No, but thanks, Egberto.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Hello. Yes. So we're having some technical problems here here at the station, but this is Politics Done Right, and it's the Houston Democracy Project Hour, where we talk about local politics. And we had yesterday, we talked about the city budget proceedings. We have a $7 billion budget. That was a source of great contention. A big source of, there's $300 million that is coming in actually from the Trump administration, if you can believe it, for disaster remediation. And this was discussed in council committee. The money was originally given by the Biden administration in its last weeks to the city for disaster money. And so the Trump folks came in and there was concern that they were going to pull the money, but actually they didn't pull the money. So Mayor Whitmire's folks have been talking to the Trump administration, and they're very specific on how you can spend the money. So there's $300 million. None of it is going to housing or some of the very identified as disaster relief necessities. Okay, and this is a big discussion, and it's interesting because we're asking: with Trumpism, is all the money stopping? Are municipalities and cities still seeing the money? So the city is supposed to get $300 million in disaster relief money. It has to be done on terms that the Trump administration likes. And so Mayor Whitmire, they've been trying to work that out. But then also, we are reimbursed for the money after we spend it. So we spend the money. The city of Houston spends the money, and then the Trump administration reimburses it. So when we've been talking about one of the themes that we've been talking about, when we talked about Sean Tier, the district attorney, calling out the current political situation, the one way that the Trump folks seem to be able to make sure that people are quiet is that they hold all of this leverage of money over municipalities. So that has been a discussion in Houston City Council this week, and that's on top of the budget decisions. And so this is politics done right, and we're having a bit of a technical glitch. So I am filling in essence. Egberto's right there watching me on the screen. Yeah. And we're in the middle of a pledge drive. And one thing that the pledge drive does, it makes sure that the whole technical house and all the wiring and everything is in order. And your pledge to KPFT to specifically politics done right, Egberto Willies helps make sure that the technical setup is all there and that we don't have glitches just like this. And so this is the Houston Democracy Project Hour. We talk about Thursdays at 7. We talk about local 6. We talk about local politics. And yesterday at yesterday's budget hearing, there were a number of neighborhood protesters, groups Pure Justice, the neighborhood West Street Recovery was there, Northeast Action Collective was there. They were very rambunctious throughout the entire hearing. Mayor Whitmire, for all of his arbitrary characteristics, Mayor Whitmire actually is slow to throw people out and slow to have folks removed from the council chamber. He's actually better than Mayor Turner on that. But as you see in your Houston, no, I'm sorry, Egberto. No. Egberto is, if you're listening on the radio, Egberto and I also, this is on you. There's a video feed also for Politics Done Right. So Egberto is intermittently asking, is he audible to me? And so far he's not. Local involvement in local politics is really significant. There are so few people who do get involved that if you get involved, you can have a disproportionate weight. You can be heard. If you watch city council meetings, they will talk about, I got 10 emails, I got 15 emails, I got 20 emails. Small amounts of people can make a substantial difference at Houston City Council. And just imagine if you live in a smaller municipality, everyone really does have a voice.
I want to thank Neil for covering the audio problems with South and us.
Okay, I'm sorry if I was slow on the uptake. Were you gesturing at me for a minute?
I was gesturing to you to say, please take over my brother. But
okay, anyway, well, I finally, it took me a while.
You finally got it. No problem. Look, but we have a wonderful audience. You are a wonderful person. Believe that when you have teamwork, no matter what happens, stuff happens. Look, I got to go to the phones. Guys, I have to restrict you to exactly 1 minute. So I'm sorry, but we kind of have some issues here. Beforehand, though, we have to do a station ID. We'll go about 10 minutes over to try to get some of you to call in now and support the program. 1 minute. Brother Jimmy, come on in.
Okay, I'll be short, hopefully. On Bart and Brian, it's no hang up on you. It's a Johnny Carson. He did not argue. He did his Johnny Carson. It was effective. And I am a rollover, and I'm also a one-time drop 2 or 3 times a year. I am German and Bohonk. I am an old lady, but still a Zydeco girl due to Egberto 90.1 and Bon Time Rolly. Love y'all.
Love you too, Betty. You stay beautiful. And Marge K just said, I just gave $25 online. Come on, people, let's help Egberto. You are so sweet, Mark. I appreciate that.
If Democrats intend to win the battle, intend to reach the working class, intend to really put the Republican bill on ice or to throw it into a grave, you cannot stay in Washington and make proclamations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't. What you have to do is go out there in the field and physically show Americans exactly what's going to happen if this big, beautiful bill passes. Here's the deal. I want you to listen to this piece that was on MSNBC. I did a few cuts on it so that you can see what's going to happen to solar power stations, etc., if this bill goes through. Check this out. then we'll take it on the other side.
As it currently stands, the bill would eviscerate the Biden administration's investments in clean energy, including solar power. How exactly could the Republican spending and tax plan put facilities like the one you're standing at risk?
Yeah, so first, just to give you a sense of where I am and the scale of it to sort of arrive at what's at stake. So this facility is in two parts. The first part went online in December. When the second part goes online in about a month or so, there will be 1.3 million of these solar panels, between 1.2 and 1.3 million of these solar panels. These rows and rows you see behind me are just a small fraction of the total size of this facility. It will have the capacity to power 7% of Los Angeles. So 7% of the largest power utility in the country will be powered just by this facility. The scale of this, and oh, by the way, I also want to say most of the materials here, not the panels themselves, but the steel, the trackers that are used to turn the panels towards the sun, the batteries, which are actually Tesla batteries that store the power to then feed it to LA when the sun goes down, that's all American made. It's American steel, American companies. Now, facilities like this have become possible, much more possible in the last 2 years than they were before because of the incentive structures, the tax incentives in Biden's climate bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, which made it much more profitable and much more predictable for both developers and investors to get projects, utility scale projects of this size and of this capacity up and running. Now, that is industry-wide, by the way. Solar has just exploded in the last just 2 years. By some estimates, it's supposed to triple by 2028. That is all predicated on the conditions, the incentive conditions created by the IRA. Now, what the bill does, what the spending bill does, as passed in the House, is that it basically stops those incentive structures, and it does so very quickly. It rolls them back almost immediately. There's very little phase-out time. And so what the business people who are involved in creating, making these things happen say is that makes it basically impossible to plan future projects and ongoing projects. The CEO of Arevon, the company that built this facility, told me that he actually has 3 ongoing projects in earlier stages of development in Georgia, in Michigan, and Indiana. I believe that he's had to completely put on pause. And it's not just because of the spending bill. It's also because of uncertainty around tariffs. Again, steel, for example, even if you're using U.S. steel, tariffs on imported steel still cause prices to rise. It's basically become impossible to plan and to make sure that these investments actually come to fruition. That is why this is a hang-up among some Republicans, many Republicans in the Senate. So I talked to the CEO of this company. I asked him, what is this going to cost, right? Like what is actually at stake? What is this going to cost the country and the American people? Here's what he had to say.
It's going to cost billions and hundreds of billions of dollars of investment and hundreds of thousands of jobs, and puts us at risk of creating the energy that we need to meet that demand created by AI. That's a factual message. Whether or not the politicians in DC recognize that that's the case or not, we'll have to see.
The vast majority of that solar boom, by the way, Chris, has happened in Republican strongholds, in red states, in the South, in the West, in the Midwest, even where I am now. This is California, obviously a blue state, but this is a Republican-controlled House district. That is why this is a huge hang-up with a number of Republicans, not just in the Senate, but also in the House. As the people you were talking to just now have explained, it's totally not clear how much senators who don't want these incentives to go away are going to be able to get in these negotiations. But that is, it's one of the biggest sticking points, and it's one of the most important things that we're going to have to be paying attention to moving forward, Chris.
Now, here's the deal. There is so much that's wrong with the big, beautiful bill, as called by Donald Trump, that gives Democrats ample space, ample opportunities to get directly into the heads of MAGA and those senators and Congress people that are going to be responsible for passing this thing. Let me first go with the piece that you just saw there. This particular solar field, this solar plant, is in a red district. It is going to affect a lot of people in a red district. It seems like when they passed the IRA, they really passed it they really made sure that a lot of that money was going to red states, likely to make it that much more difficult to cancel. But these Republicans don't give a damn about their own people. They don't care that they're going to starve them, kill them, etc. So you have to show them. This reporter went out there to show what a particular section of the big, beautiful bill is going to do to this particular solar plant or to solar plants like this. He points out there are solar plants that are planned in Georgia and in Indiana, places where these are red areas. And that bill is going to take monies and employment out of the pockets of these folks. It's going to raise the prices on quite a bit on these folks. We should have a Democrat or Democrats, plural, from those areas go on to the site where these solar farms were intended to be built and come with a big banners, media, everything, and say, the panels that were going to be placed here with supplies from the steel, from American steel, supplies from American panels, supplies from American batteries. What was going to be built here will not be built, and all these jobs will be lost, and all the restaurants that would have fed these people, that would have built these plants, that would have operated these plants, will not be. They need to go to Indiana. They need to go to Georgia. They need to come here to the Mojave Desert in California and let folks understand that. Show them exactly what the bill cuts, not just put it in the ethos. Show them physically what it cuts. Additionally, we know that the big bad bill, one of the other things that it does is it cuts Medicaid. They need to go to every rural hospital on the margins. And you know what? It's not hard to find rural hospitals on the margins because most of them are. Go out in front of the hospitals with banners. Go out of the hospitals with their ledgers to show how much money they normally get from Medicaid. Go out there and have it printed on banners and show the people in that rural area what their representative is about to cut for them. It's lazy to stay in Washington. You have all these consultants out there in Washington. They should be telling their people, create banners, create an illusion, not an illusion, a reality. Have the media out there do things that make you remember the Tea Party knew how to do all of that lying. Democrats and progressives can do that simply by telling the truth and go to those locations where things are going to be harmed. Go to the hospitals, go to a nursing home where 50% of the people are on Medicaid, that Medicaid is paying for those cares. Go out there with banners. How many people are you going to lose at this nursing home that puts your mother, your grandmother, your auntie in danger? You have to be proactive and you have to have media. And after you're proactive with the media, you have to have all that information dispersed so that, hey, here on Politics Done Right, you send us the video that of what you did and what's going to happen, and we will make sure and disperse it through our blogosphere. And you give it to the several hundred bloggers throughout the country to show these things. You know who does that? Republicans. You know why? Even though they have bad bills and bad information, their people stay completely in complete oblivious to what's going on. You know why? Because they're saturated with their own media. They invest in their media to put this information out. You know, I've contacted Democratic, not commissioners, but I've contacted Democratic leaders. I've contacted all kinds of folks saying, what are you doing? And you know what? For all practical purposes, guess what you get? Oh, okay, that's a good idea, a good shoe off. And you get a shoe off. What I tell all the people that are listening here, all our progressives that are listening here, it's all up to you now. You have to get the job done. Because Jeffries, later on, I'm going to play a piece from Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries, as far as fighting this battle, useless. As far as the Senator Chuck Schumer, useless. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to get the message out to the working class, to the middle class. So they out there and they give one short speech and then it's over for them. They $10,000 to the consultant. Progressives, bloggers, writers, we have a job to do. And for all of you out there who understand what's going on, please make sure to support entities like ours. Make sure and invest in what we are doing, because you know who's not doing it? Do you see the head of do you see Jeffries out there? If I were leading the Democrats right now, I would go ahead and I would have I would divide every state into sectors. And all these sectors would have whatever is going to be marginalized by that bill in these sectors. And I'll have a particular leader in every single one of these sectors. Create narratives, create media, and they would be doing it every single day to make every American understand what that several trillion-dollar bill is going to do. Because you know what? It is a dereliction of duty that we have indivisible doing their work. We have a lot of these organizations going out and protesting in front of offices of these different Congress people. But the one thing missing is the part that needs funded, both the communications, like what we do here, and you know what else need funded? Getting the buses out that's going to take people into these rural areas, and with the Congress people pointing out exactly what those Republican Congress people are doing to them. We don't do it here in Texas. We don't do it around the country. And it is imperative that if we're to win, we point this out. Solar panels, deprived. Healthcare, deprived. Your humanity, killed. We have to do a better job, and we can't wait till the bill is rewritten and almost passed. We have to make it that they can't rewrite the bill. They can't rewrite the bill and put it up for a vote, because Americans would already have known what it is going to do to their own personal economies. That is what we have to do. And until we get smart, that bill is going to pass, it's going to go through, and it's going to be hard as hell to recover the damage that it's going to do. It's on us. We have to invest in, and again, like I said, forget about the party. Do it for ourselves. We have to make sure, first of all, and start educating the American people so that they can stop the Republicans from doing what they're doing. And number two, in the primaries, we are going to have to primary a lot of these people out of office, because for all practical purposes, many of them are useless. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is doing her job. Casar is doing his job out of Texas. Maxwell is doing his job out of Florida. Ayanna Press is doing her job out of, I think, Massachusetts. But most of these guys just have their tails within their legs. Murphy is doing a good job, Senator Murphy. But folks, we need a hell of a lot more than that.
Anyway, Neil, give me a closer, and we got to shut this baby down to bring on democracy now.
Great. I encourage everyone to be active locally. A small numbers of people can make a big difference. I'm at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. I appreciate your forbearance. If you're a Democracy Now! Listener, the program is important, and it's important that Politics Done Right and KPFT have the reasons to broadcast it. If we're not here, this is the local platform for it.
Thank you so kindly. Folks, we're going to be going off in about 35, 40 seconds. Please, you can still contribute to Politics Done Right by going to kpft.org and hit that donate button. Scroll down to Politics Done Right and donate in the name of Politics Done Right. We had some problems earlier. Likely missed quite a few donations on the telephone. But again, you can keep trying there as well, 713-526-573. I want to thank Jack for his impeccable work in the studio. I want to thank Elise for the great pitching for us. I want to thank Neil for covering when our sound system went down. We are loaded with good people. Sandy, keep up the good work. Folks, we got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto